Let's go to the next question now, and I guess that is reorder paragraph now. In this case, the answers have already been given there, so I'll simply explain to you what is the logic, why they should be in that order. This is the first sentence. All humans have a unique genome sequence, the more than 3 billion molecule pairs known as DNA that define who we are, from our physical appearance to biological characteristics and even our personality. This introduces us to the topic, that is the genome sequence in DNA, and why this second sentence is related to the first sentence. Let's compare. Second sentence says our hair color, our preference for certain kinds of food, even our ability to make deadlines, it's all rooted in our DNA. Two things. First, both sentences are talking about DNA. Second, you can see that in the first sentence they are saying from our physical appearance to biological characteristics. And if you look here, our hair color, that is the example of physical appearance. Our preference for certain kinds of food, that's the example of behavior, biological characteristics of food. Even our ability to make deadlines, that is something related to, again, our personality, like being able to finish things in time. So you can see that this gives us a general idea. This gives us the specific examples of those ideas: physical appearance, hair color, biological characteristics, preference for certain kinds of food, even our personality, even our ability to make deadlines. So you can see there is such a close relationship between these two sentences. Now, why 2 is related to 3? Again, look carefully. You'll be able to see this. It says it's all rooted in our DNA, and the third one says mutations or mistakes in this genetic code. So which genetic code they are talking about? The genome sequence. They're talking about the genome sequence. The genome sequence is the one they are trying to refer to by saying genetic code, this genetic code. By the way, whenever you see this plus something in a sentence, remember that is referring to something that came before it. Now, in these two sentences, they are talking about the genetic code, which can determine our behavior, our personality, our physical appearance, and so on. And if there is any problem in that genetic code, then we'll look different, we'll behave different. That's what we call disease, right? Disease is when something is not normal. That is called disease, such as diabetes or leukemia. And a problem has been introduced here. Gene editing means we can now find and correct genetic errors in a lab. So that is the solution, right? Problem, solution. And we all know that solutions can never come before the problem. So since we can now edit genes, we can also get rid of these problems. And once horn, the tools could be used. Now, which tools they're talking about? We all know that just saying tools and saying the tools has a big difference in terms of the meaning. When I say the tools, I'm talking about some specific tools I mentioned in the previous sentence. If we go back to the previous sentence, gene editing means we can now find and correct genetic errors in a lab. Once on, the tools could be used means the tools to edit genetic errors could be used to fix maladies like this, this, and this. Another way of looking at 4 and 5 to find out why 4 should come before 5 is 4 only says that we can fix the problem, that means we can get rid of the disease, but 5 says which kind of disease. You can see here like sickle cell anemia and cystic fibrosis, and even fight cancer. So these are the examples, the specific examples of diseases mentioned in sentence 4. So this is the reason why we have put everything in this order. Now, if you did not get any of the logic here, I'm waiting. You can just write in the comments and I'll try to answer your confusion before I go to the next question. Remember, I didn't spend much time in multiple choice questions. The reason for that is they are not that important compared to reorder paragraphs. But in reorder paragraph, I'm willing to take a few questions before I move on to the next one. Let me know if you have any questions or confusions about these sentences. You can simply write in the comments. Okay, then I think they didn't have a problem there. Let me go to the next one. Okay, in this question also, I'll try to explain to you why these sentences 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cannot be first sentence, and then I'll tell you the reason behind this particular order. You can see the scientist, and I think I've told you in the class that the scientists means a particular specific group of scientists, and because of that, it cannot be the first sentence because we are pointing to a specific group of scientists. Just give me a second, sorry, something important came up. Okay, the number three says the dish was filled with. The dish means they must have talked about some kind of dish before this, so it cannot be the first one. After 5 weeks, they were means they means who? A group of people. They must have mentioned a group of people before this. The team, we do not know which team they're talking about because it's the team, a specific team. They fertilize the egg cells means again a group of people. So most often when I'm doing reader paragraph, I start by finding out which sentences cannot be the first sentence rather than thinking about which is the first sentence. Because this way I can be more confident about the sentence I'm choosing as the first sentence. And most often when we choose the first sentence, we are also choosing the topic in the correct way, and that helps us to subsequently solve other questions. So stem cell biologist from Kyushu University became the first scientist to generate healthy and functioning egg cells in a petri dish. So you can say stem cell biologist, that's one clue. In a petri dish, that is another clue. So I need another sentence. We're talking about stem cell biologist and petri dish and first scientist. So the scientist means the scientist from Kyushu University, and that's why they are related, obtained stem cells from the tea pepper mouse tail, and then they put the cells in a dish. So this is the connection between the two. Both are talking about scientists, both are talking about dish, and the sequence of event is also making sense. They were the first people to do it, and this sentence is telling us how they did it. Now, third says the dish. The dish means which dish? The one they have mentioned here. The dish was filled with a mixture of chemicals. Means which dish? The dish they were putting the cells in the sentence too, made to resemble the substance inside mouse ovaries. So experiment has started from sentence number 2 and it has progressed in sentence number 3. In 4, after 5 weeks, they were able to harvest, means the scientists were able to harvest thousands of egg cells from the dish. So again, the same dish where they had inoculated the cells. And the next one is the team then tested next if they are functional. What do you think they tested here? They tested this ovaries, or sorry, egg cells. They tested the egg cells to find out if they are functional. And how did they test it? They fertilized the egg cells and implanted them in surrogate mothers. So they put these cells inside the surrogate mothers. And surrogate mothers means the mothers who are actually just receiving the fertilized embryo from someone else. This is not their own. It's like it's not their own baby. They are getting the embryo of the baby from outside, and they are simply growing the cells inside their body. So that is surrogacy. So again, how do you do reader paragraph? If you remember what we discussed in the class, it's more about pairing rather than ordering. I always focus in the pairing first, and because I know that if the pair is correct, then the order can be thought of, because in order to put things in order, I just have to look at 2 sentences at a time. So that's why first I try to see if I can make pairs or not. And while making the pairs, I also think of, can this sentence come before the other sentence or not? These questions can be confusing, and you need to practice these questions a lot compared to others, because the concept itself is not difficult. Once you understand how to do it, this is perhaps one of the easiest questions, because you simply have to use a few rules of grammar and a few rules of logical thinking only, unlike the fill in the blank questions where you need to learn a lot about vocabularies and collocations and phrases and so on. So my suggestion for doing reader paragraph is try to do maybe a set of 10 questions, do them once, take a break, do them again, and take a break, and do